Hello and welcome. Halloween edition. Almost got a little bit scary for us, but Roma pull out on top. Guys, sorry for the late start. I know I was messing around with the times. I had an emergency. I had a dental emergency. I'd been in a lot of pain. I had a chest infection earlier this week, which is why I might sound a little quiet. On top of that, I started getting a lot of dental pain, so I went and got a crown. And then over the past week, it's been hurting, getting worse. Today I went in, and he said after about an hour of discussing it that I needed a root canal. Got the root canal, found that it wasn't one root but four different freaking roots in my mouth. I'm in an excruciating amount of pain. I was like shaking. I've been shaking since the time I just sat down and got to be able to talk about this right now. But I was able to watch a lot of the match, and if you look at the timeline of this one, you could see that Roma was 1-1 while being a player up for the entire match up until the 90th minute. Volpato scores, we'll be getting to him, but they do very well, honestly, throughout this match. You might look at it because of that timeline and say, oh, they should have put the game away sooner. They weren't doing enough. They weren't controlling it. Where were all the goal scoring opportunities? But I tell you that this Roma fought hard until the very end, and they got what was rightfully theirs, which is the win, which is 3 points, which is the jump into the fourth spot, up ahead of Lazio, leapfrogging them right ahead of the derby, right ahead of the team who just lost Milinkovic-Savic for the derby, probably won't have Ciro Immobile. So there's a lot that this win really means for Roma. What's up, HH? Yeah, this is crazy right now. Thanks, guys, for jumping in as well. I see people coming on in. Write your comments as well, especially if you're coming in after this was recorded. Leave comments. I read every single one of them. And I appreciate them very much. And I'll be commenting back, of course, as well. So I've got some notes here. If you just give me a second, I'll be pulling them up real quick for us. But this one goes with a goal from Hellas. It was a crafty goal. Like, honestly, I thought they did a good job at that. Bocchetti is a 35-year-old manager, and he more or less seems to have his ideas straight. Defensive, getting them to hang on. They played hard-nosed. Sorry if you're getting some feedback right now. I thought, honestly, that they played a really good game overall, despite being that man down. So I'll run through the first half for you here. It's more than 3,000 Romanisti in support making their way to Verona. That is a miserable trip, I'm telling you, because most of these guys, they take the regional trains. This trip probably took, honestly, 10 hours, 10 and a half hours to get to Verona. Young guys, 18 through 25, most of them, and probably drinking a lot of Sambuca on the way. But this starts off with Verona in their 3-4-2-1. Montipo as the keeper, Davidovic, Gunter, Ceccherini across the back three, then Faraoni, Veloso, Tamese, and De Paoli in the front four, and then Hongla, Calon, and then Henry, who you remember last year, not Thierry Henry, but Henry from Venezia. And I know these streams I've gotten a bit better at putting graphics up. Just excuse me for this one because of my dental emergency. I wasn't able to prepare as much as I usually do, but hang in with me because I did see, so much of this match, and I've been thinking about it since that clock stopped and since Volpato hit that goal, and then El Shaarawy. Roma started out with the 3-4-2-1. Rui Patricio, Mancini, Smalling, Ibanez. You could have guessed that was coming up, and then Karsdorp, Cristante, Kamara, Zalewski, and then Pellegrini, Zaniolo, Abraham, which was the expected formation, which I thought they were going to go with in yesterday's video in the preview. On the bench was Svilar, Boer, Kumbula, Trippi, Vigna, Celik, Matic, Bove, El Shaarawy, Shomurodov, and Belotti. Where's our guy? I don't see Volpato here. No, this was left. Volpato was left out here of the substitutions. That's weird. This setup came from ForzaRoma.info. I'm surprised they forgot to put him, the goal scorer of all people. Look at that. So you see a bunch of kids coming up, Boer, Trippi, and Volpato coming up from the Primavera, of course. In the 5th minute, I'm going to run this through. Faraoni makes a run past Zalewski. Ibanez cuts him off and borderline hits him in the box. Borderline focus in the box. Roma faced a lot of pressure in those first 10 minutes, though. Ibanez made a couple good movements there. which is why he's been one of the most successful center backs in the league so far. So much growth that we've seen from him. Yeah, keep writing those comments in, people. Thank you for those. I'll be getting to them right after I run through this. In the 11th minute, Mancini combines with Kamara and Abraham, finding space down the right, but the cross is headed out. That was a decent enough opportunity, but not that close. 5 minutes later, in the 16th minute, shot way out from Verona, never teases Patricio. Roma was collapsing into a 5-3-2, holding their line well. So we see that this 3-4-1-2, when it collapses, we see the wingbacks getting back. And that honestly shows a good responsibility from the outside players. That's my takeaway from that. 19th minute, one of the misses of the season, guys. Abraham, I'm sure that you've seen the pictures now, the angle that he had. Great build-up from the back. Zaniolo pinches, and then Karsdorp makes the run. So Zaniolo pinches from his right wing position to the center, and then hits Karsdorp with a flick, a reverse pass flick. Karsdorp's now making that run down the line. He finds Abraham, who plays off the shoulder of the last defender, gets behind him, slips past, plays it around the keeper, has his angle perfect, and then hits it to the right. I couldn't believe that one. But it was great build-up from the back, I have to say. And the Roma supporters, they were there for him nonetheless. As soon as he missed it, all the fans got up. They were clapping, applauding, like telling him, it's okay, we still got your back. And that's something you really, really want to see. The 25th minute, Verona score off their trick corner kick. The first kicker takes it, and then the second man actually passes a long, hard ball to the center, to the top of the box. The shot follows a deflection, goes past Rui, who was blindsided, didn't get to see it, goes to VAR. It's ruled to be onside. I thought that you could have made a case for this being offside because of the obstruction in Rui's view path. 10 minutes later, Verona gets their red card. Flying studs against Zaniolo's knee. Definitely a red card. It's undisputable for me. It goes to VAR. Surprised the referee did not see that at first glance. Roma then go out on the attack. I'm not going to go through every single passing and attacking movement that Roma had in the second half, because in that second half it was all them. They're trying trying to make scoring opportunities. Verona did have a couple, actually. Henry was quite a troublesome guy throughout the entire match, but it couldn't be beat for Zaniolo, and he gets his goal. Did I miss Zaniolo's goal? No, I didn't. Okay, in the 45th minute. There we go. Roma then go on the attack. 41st minute, a foul by Ceccherini against Lazio deep on the right wing. And then he pushes Nicolo over, and the referee runs over, makes sure nothing happens, and then play just gets on. I thought it was going to be a bit more of an aggressive action from Ceccherini, but at this point, Zaniolo was really, really frustrating Verona. 45th +2. Zaniolo, go, 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 go! Kamara dispossesses the Verona player when they had numbers advanced, so he makes a dispossession way deep into Verona's box, and it's taking that ball in that section of the pitch which makes all the difference here. I can't remember one of our center mids doing that and actually making a turnover so deep in the opposition's half. He looks around to see who his options were. He has Zaniolo on his right, Abraham on his left. He goes for Abraham, who tries to pull a curler, hits off the post, lands nicely to Zaniolo, who puts away his first one of the season. I was stoked to see that one. Very, very happy for him. VAR checks it, and then Roma, as I just mentioned, they commence the second half all-out attack, because now it's Verona's down a man, but Roma are still just 1-1, and they need to score those goals. Okay, I'll be getting to the comments right now. Woo, glad to see everyone was pumped after this world. What's up, what's up, what's up? Madi Kamara, say it right now, my player of the day. I'm going to start doing players of the day. Shout out to my wife who gave me this idea. Player of the day, like Formula One's driver of the day. Maybe I'll get that sponsored. I got to reach out to sponsors, guys. Do you know anybody? Do you know anyone who has like a wine shop or a coffee business? Come on. The sponsored player of the day goes to Madi Kamara. I thought he was phenomenal. I can't imagine having him plus Wijnaldum plus Pellegrini in center midfielder and players that might continue to add to the quality of this team. Matic coming off the bench. Cristante is there when you need him. This is a very good problem to have. So I'm really glad that Kamara has emerged as such a talent. Shrewd. I was joking around in one of my Roma group chats, And I was saying like, oh, Pinto, don't worry. You have 2 days to figure out how to replace Vinaldum very quickly. And I can imagine Pinto going back to his little like notepad or something, his Rolodex, and he's like, I got this guy Kamara out in Olympiacos in Greece. Sign him over. And now he's doing good. So um, HAs, I'll give you my worst take from this game. Roma players were bullied and afraid to play, and Matic changed that. Matic did change a bit of a dimension of this match where he was running against the back line, which was really, really cool to see. Got other comments coming in. Hi, had Mourinho improve AS Roma? Richard, if you mean, is he improving Roma? Definitely. Mentally, physically, and just making them such a more solid team, adding some backbone to their body or their body of work. Yeah, that's the phrase. Their body of work. Yeah, Morin, it was really a excellent game. If you can check out the extended highlights. Thank you, Naveen. I appreciate that. Oh, this, the little skin fade. That's what I was going for here. My barber is one of my close friends, so he did it for me. I was like, let's do something different, and I'm liking it. I'm using a lot less shampoo. NM said Abraham had a slow start to last season too, but this game he had to mark some kind of personal low with one missed open goal, arguably two. What's wrong with Tammy? And I'll say the difference between last season, because I saw my buddy Marco post a stat that Abraham started off in a very much the same fashion as last year. I'll tell you the difference. The difference is that now he's had a full year, a full season to integrate. So I have to think that it's something mental. It could be something preparatory. Is he preparing for his games the right way? Is something in his head? Because you don't go from just scoring 25 plus goals a season into struggling to convert on open nets, right? So there's something more to it than just, oh, if he's a slow starter. I don't buy that at all, to be honest with you. I'm not going to get into sales or extensions or whatever it is. I don't think that's appropriate given my relations to the club. But, that's for them. That's a whole different story. Morton says, Tammy probably should get a psychologist. Vinicius Jr. got one before he exploded last season. Very underrated psychologists and how they can help you prepare. Because it's not just the game, right? There's other stuff going off the field that we're not privy to, that we don't know. And I'm not assuming that stuff is going on with Abraham. And it's just something that's a general statement for all players. Like what Mourinho is saying here. If you can get a psychologist, a sports psychologist in particular, to help you through your rough patches, help you as a young player find out how to be consistent and to always have the right mindset. These are things I struggled with as my playing career was, a recreational high school, intramural type career, right? But I would often remember myself approaching matches angry or relaxed or just have fun. And I never knew what the right way was. So I think that having someone like that can really help these professionals show up every single day, how to get past those hurdles, how to let the little things go, and then to reset. And to always reset. When you make a mistake, how do you reset your frame of mind so that you don't get nervous and that you remember that you are a confident player, and to reinstill that within them. Kaze Talk says, I wasn't able to watch the game, but saw the extended highlights, and Kamara seems to be firing on all cylinders. Plus, Zaniolo is a monster. Just needs to score some goals to be perfect. Kaze, I was talking to Patrick Kendrick earlier today, who was the commentator for World Feed. And I was also listening to him, I should say. And he mentioned, or he stated, Zaniolo was a menace. I thought that was the perfect word. He was an absolute menace on the field. He's so difficult for the opposition to handle. We've seen this, what game was it recently where he came on late? Was it, I want to say Empoli? No, it was someone like in the bottom half where he came on late to stretch out the team. And maybe I think it was actually Sampdoria, perhaps. And he was just bullying them around and taking them for a ride, running down the flank, doing everything but the goal. And thank God today that he gets it, because he's deserved it in more ways than one. So yeah, monster on the pitch, menace on the field. It's too hot to handle for so many teams. And I really need every fan, social media, Stadio Olimpico, everyone's got to be behind Zaniolo. I truly believe in that. One, for the sake that he's a Roma player, but two, also because he missed so much of development. People be like, oh, the expectations are here for him to develop and to produce this season. Okay, but are they the same then for Chiesa, who will be coming back from his ACL injury tear? So I think that the expectations need to be realistic, and they also need to support players. This is at a time where Italian football is not doing well. We failed to qualify for the World Cup. How do you fix things if you can't start with your own young players? Ask you that. Um, I think Madi Kamara has made a real difference, Armando says, in the midfield, providing muscle we did not have. He seems to be a real two-way player. Do you think he has cemented a spot as a starter? I do. I think it's a very good problem when Wijnaldum comes back. And who does Mourinho field? And this guy looks to have the DNA of what it takes to be a Roma player. Like you say, muscle. To me, he's tough, but he also acts as this perfect midfielder who can play right behind the attacking phase, behind the attacking midfielders, and kind of sit there. Not sit as a true defensive ball-winning midfielder, but one who can rove around the pitch and either outmuscle, outpace them, and then provide the good, simple passes, as he so often does. Here, Dark Knight compares him to Michael Essien. He's really the one to congratulate for the equalizer, smart pressing, and he might be the Michael Essien for Jose, sorry. HA says Matic. Yeah, good shout out for Matic there. Magic Matic. Pavi says our left wing was not firing on the first half. Second off changes the game. Martin says as soon as Zaniolo gets a break and scores, he gets a strong concussion. He really can't catch a break. Did he get a concussion? Do we have any word on that? Can you guys give me the update for that? Let me check that real quick. I'm hoping that's not realistic. I did see him ask for the switch. I didn't realize it looks like a knock. So they're not saying concussion yet. Not as far as I'm reading right here. So hopefully that's just a knock. HA says Kamara is just a bargain. Can't believe we had him that cheap. So I believe that Kamara was scouted for maybe the EPL. It was a much bigger team, and I think it fell through. And then he started to sulk at Olympiacos, and his performances dipped. So it was good for Pinto to see that and acknowledge that you had a player who could still fit a role and maybe just needed a change of scenery. Pavi says Mourinho was more into a player's feelings like a psychologist, so I won't worry too much. Well, he's definitely somebody who helps you build confidence and mentality. A quiet game from Zalewski. It's important to remember, I think, with Zalewski, not to put too much pressure on the young guys. Remember that this is just his second season starter. He's something like 20 years old. He just won the Golden Boy today. So another one of these players that I think that all the fans would just have to support and understand that the progression of a young player is not linear. It doesn't go like that. There's peaks and valleys like a mountain range. And at the end of the day, he definitely gets to that mountaintop. Kaze says, I think Tammy's issue has to do with two things. There's more pressure to succeed after Roma getting players like Dybala, and I think the pressure possibly being called up for the World Cup. It's not a bad shout there, Kaze, for the World Cup, especially with Southgate. Southgate, I believe, has left out Smalling as well, so I wonder if he's nervous that for the reason that he went out to Italy, that he's being overlooked. But now he's definitely, if you take a player like James Maddison, why wouldn't you, the guy's scoring at will in England for Leicester, why wouldn't you have him as the number 2, even if he's not a true number 9? But you get Harry Kane there. So that's something to really consider. I think that's a really good shout if he's worrying about the World Cup or not. HA says Zaniolo has a bad habit of holding defenders' shirts, and that's why he doesn't get fouls or penalties. I think there's some truth to that. Often when you go 50-50 with a defender and you're grabbing, he's going to immediately grab back, or if the defender grabs you first, you're going to grab. And if you don't and you just get beat, it's not a good look for you either, because oftentimes the ref won't call that. It's a tricky one, I think, for a winger. Mohammed says, I was thinking we needed someone who can shoot from far away, and today Volpato was it. Do not let me end this stream without mentioning a little bit more of Volpato. Maureen says, how do you think we line up against Lazio? Last season, the 3-4-2-1 destroyed them. I think it's the same. I think it's the same as what you saw tonight. I think it's the same exact starting lineup. I think even so, Tammy Abraham gets the start. I have to imagine it's going to be just like so. Kaze says, I'm a massive Zaniolo defender. Roma plays way better with him. It's true he misses goals quite a bit, but he does so much for the team in every other area. Love him. Off the ball movement today, essential. Passes, great, more or less. I know he made 1 or 2 mistakes, but more or less. Gets the goal. His positioning, everything's right there. People can still complain, but the truth is that this man is on the up and up. Muhammad sympathized with me. He said, "I know how you feel about your teeth. I took out four extractions, man. That is no fun." Ooh, I'm feeling right now. I'm trying my best to hang in right now. I got my little smoothie to cheer me up. But man, I was in some serious pain. I've never get this 4 roots in one tooth. I would show you the picture, but I don't want to make you sick. It looked like an octopus of roots inside my tooth. It was it was some insane stuff. I feel like I should be on a weird reality show. Uh, Kamara can challenge for Pellegrini's spot. Ooh, interesting shout there against the captain. Rocco, what's up, Rocco? Zaniolo definitely works hard for the team. Always a reference point. Wondering what you think he needs to be a more prolific finisher. I think Zaniolo has to start. I think what would help him, let me rephrase this, what would help him is if he picks his head up slightly more and can be not radically change his game, but just slightly more and build that intuition, that instinct of when to take a player on and when not to. I think that will really happen. Last year, statistically, Zaniolo was the best dribbler. He had the most completed dribbles after Leao. But statistically, he was like 1 out of 10. That stat was because he was taking so many chances that the amount converted was high. But percentage wise, he was actually not that high. He was way down, not anywhere near second place for, let's say, a player who played over 20 games. Um, Bobby says, we're in top 3, so let's smile and have some copy comments, friends. Win, baby, win. Maureen, Volpato plays for Australia. Thanks, bro. Grow it a little more. Thanks. Volpato, I'm sorry, did I play for Australia? He's waiting for a call up for Italy, is what I'm imagining. I think he played for Australia in the youth sector, maybe all the way up to U21, but I think he's holding out for Italy, to be honest with you. His Italian, is, from what I understand, is not so great, but this is typical with, oh boy, I've got bad comments coming in. How do I block those? Oh, block user. That's not appropriate. Um, so I think he holds out for Italy, and yeah, he think he has a little bit more integration to go on with the culture because his language skills need to improve, and he'll need to get more accustomed to being like with other Italians. That's sometimes an issue with. I was watching this show called Captains on Netflix, and bringing in players. So Jamaica, they're bringing in players from England. Some of them who have, let's say, Jamaican roots, or they can play for either team, like their father was Jamaican or something like that. But they're not used to playing with these players. They're not meshing well. So I'm just making the point that there could be some cultural differences there that Volpato will have to get used to in order for him to be effective on the national team. But that's just me giving just like kind of like guessing there of some issues he could run into. I heard Rocco that it wasn't all that good his Italian, but that's good to hear. I can't imagine him living in Italy and having an Italian background that his Italian wasn't good when I heard that. So I wish I had heard that one for myself. Let's see if he gave some comments here. Totti said that I'm happy that Volpato scored and for the victory of Roma. But I've got this here. I'm going to try to translate it quickly. So Volpato spoke to DAZN after the match. Who are the people you look up to in the locker room? He says, "I know I'm young. I have respect for all of my teammates." What did Mourinho tell you? He says, "Mi ha detto che hai un." He's saying like you have a. That doesn't really translate. It's like you have something up your butt. I think it's like you have you're lucky, so to speak. Like you're like a lucky rabbit's foot, which is a terrible English translation. Um, is this win an important point for you guys, emotional point for you guys with the derby on the horizon? Yes, but we think from match to match. Then he spoke to Roma TV. Sorry for the static there. Missing my Beat headphones. I think they're at my mom's. Um, when you see Hellas Verona, you always score. He says, I don't know what I have with Hellas. Maybe because my dad came from there. Ooh, so he's from Verona. Can you take us back towards the goal? Like, help us go through the goal with us? He said, with Matic, I had a good feeling also in training. I'm happy, and I thank him. What did your teammates tell you? And he said, still haven't seen all of them. Do you have anyone special you want to dedicate this to? I dedicate this to the fans that came from Rome. Uh, they believed in us until the end, and the win is for them. Cool. Yeah, good stuff there from Volpato. And then Mourinho says, have to give really credit to the set piece coaches. They are really good and creative. And yeah, Armando Volpato, I believe, is going to play for Italy. He's holding out for that. Kaze says, I'm quite amazed that Roma has been hanging on so far, considering all of the injuries and goal scoring issues. Goes to show that having more than just 11 quality players can make a massive difference. Still missing Dybala. Salik, he's been out. Still missing Vinaldum. Good stuff. Oh, good to see that he's on the U20 team. Good shout there. Pavi says, Volpato assist is underrated. Nice weighted pass and waiting for El Shaarawy and not passing to players who are offside. Yeah. So Volpato, for me, has such a high game IQ, and which is one reason why I've been waiting to see him. I also see him as this player who can break between the lines. As you see today, he can make the good pass. He can hit the long-range shot. These are excellent attributes that you might want for maybe a next number 10. And I'm only saying it because the skill set, because his agent is Francesco Totti, so there's a lot riding for him that perhaps in the future you nail this kid down to a 5, 6, 7 year deal, something crazy, right? Given the way that football is now. Do you not give it to him? Well, it has to be earned, of course, right? He plays 2, 3 seasons, becomes a leader on the pitch, let's say 3 years from now, right? Then you can start to have that conversation. But I always imagine who will be the next one. It's something fun to do. I'm a fan. I like to think of these things. Rocco says, Zaniolo, Volpato, Faticanti, Bove, Pellegrini, Cristante, Mancini. Loving that Roma are Italian again and that the Primavera is showing. It's a good call. Yeah, it's a much more Italian side than we can recall. I would say probably since like Spalletti's Roma when he first took over with like Tadei, who had Italian citizenship, was Brazilian. Perota. Who else was Italian on that team? De Rossi, of course, Totti. Cassano left as soon as Spalletti joined in that January transfer window. But yeah, it's been quite a while since Roma has had such an Italian representation. Armando says Roma's the only top Italian team that incorporates the Primavera. We have Jose to thank for this. It's a good thing that Jose is bringing them up, but historically, Armando, Roma has had one of the best, if not the best, Primavera in all of Italy. What has happened to the players after that is sometimes, to my criticism, the way that it's been handled, but that's more of an issue with the whole way that loans are handled and young players are handled in Italy, not a Roma problem. Like if it was up to me, Roma would have a B to cultivate a lot of these youth guys, whether it's a B in France's second division or third division or something like that. But yeah, I think that Roma has defied the odds with their Primavera and done a really good job scouting throughout the years. Mourinho says it really is interesting how the Primavera players always score important goals. Felix, Bove, Volpato, you got to support them. They're there for a reason, right? You get behind them, you integrate them slowly, you don't rush them unless they're Zalewski, and you take your time with them, you keep the expectations off of them, don't let them feel the pressure, and then hopefully you start to smooth out the rough patches, and then things get better. Guys, keep writing in comments. We're actually already a half hour in. I'm trying to see if I've got a Mourinho interview here. Like I said, because of my little dental emergency, I don't have my regular prep today. Not a lot of banners or anything, but thanks everyone for showing up. Throw a like on there as well, please. Give it a like and subscribe and all that jazz. All that jazz. Let's see. This is a nice headline from Football Italia. Tireless Roma work hard for 3 win over 10-man Hellas Verona. I'm glad. Let's see who wrote that. because I'm glad they acknowledged that Roma was relentless. Roma did not give up, because you could spin this and say, oh, Roma disappoint for 89 minutes, or you could be negative about this, but really what I saw was a team that fought to the very end. So I'm going to give a shout out here, whoever this author is. Apollo Hayes. Good title there. I'm going to guess that they also, unless the editor picked out the title there, good stuff, Apollo. Never heard of them either, but they're also putting together this translation here. Mourinho spoke to DAZN after the match. He said, there's a feeling of support for Verona because they fought hard to come away with a point. Young coach, good. He organized the team well with 10 men. He created a lot of difficulties for us. They fought, did well, even taking a few minutes off the game. He says, of course, I'm happy with the win. I'm not hypocritical, but I have a positive feeling with them because the league table is tough, but the players, the coach, the stadium, and the fans, I'm sorry. He says, when you win in the 90th minute, you can talk a bit about luck, but we were looking for luck for 45 minutes. Then he talks about Zaniolo, his attitude, his desire to help the team, his sense of being a team player. I'm never angry because Nico doesn't score 1 or 2 goals or doesn't score a lot. He's a guy who gives everything he's got, who forces his opponents to make a lot of fouls, sometimes beyond the right aggressiveness. I am always happy with him. Yeah, Jose. Give it to him. Dennis talk about is going to wrap up here talking about the Primavera players. He says there's a process behind it. It's one thing to train with the Primavera all the time. It's another when he is attached to the team from time to time, and yet another when he leaves the Primavera for the first team. Volpe, for example, has become first team. Now Volpato, who has been with the first team since the end of August, has signed his contract and is a player with first team potential. He is young. He has a lot to learn every day, but he is a first team player. And when I put him in, I don't do anything crazy because I know he has the potential to do well. Nice. On to the derby. He says, it doesn't interest me at all. Not at all. I'm only interested in the next game. And if the coach doesn't only think about the next game, it doesn't end well. I say this because I made this mistake and it is difficult to live with. And if any of my players talk about the derby now, they're wrong. And then he was finally asked about derby distractions and Sarri's words. And he said, of course not. Yeah, Jose. Good stuff there. All right, I'm going to run through a bunch of these comments here before we wrap things up. Thanks, guys, for joining in again. Really appreciate it. Let's just see. When do you think Bove will get the chance? I think, like Mourinho just said, he's going to be slowly integrated. He's going to be here for a long time. This guy, Bove, young player, he is, I think, is seen as one of the future midfielders of Rome, and he's one of the main guys like going forward. I think that there is faith in him. Besides the amount of minutes he's been shown. Rocco says, thanks for your dedication. Romanisti in North America don't have a lot of channels to follow. Keep it up for sure. For sure, man. It's my pleasure. This is my passion. This is my thing, bro. Love it. Thank you. What's up, Christian? Volpato just got to put it on frame with some pace and that touch and finish by SES. The team got it done when they needed. Looked and sounded like a home match. Yeah, it sure did. Over 3,000 Romanisti heading to Verona. I was mentioning earlier in the stream that those guys, they spent a lot of time going to those matches. That trip on a regional train may have taken more than 10 hours to get to Verona. Probably ended up costing them a few dollars if they got train tickets at all, to be honest with you. But yeah, fun stuff. Good to see them out there. And no, Marin, don't even say that. No Pedro. Pedro is going to get taken care of by Ibanez. Don't worry about that. So, guys, I'll be back for what's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Tuesday. So, Wednesday, I'll be back with a Ludogorets preview. That's a must-win for Roma to remain in the Europa League, as we very much want. Trust me, don't want to go back down to conference. And then, of course, I'm doing a lot from Roma Club New York. I'll also be doing probably some live stuff, definitely after the match, live from Roma Club New York. Might even do like a little pre-record there and put stuff together afterwards. So hoping for that one to be a big one. I do like how Jose puts youth into the team. It's easy to throw a youngster in for 5 minutes and call it development, but I feel that every time Jose calls on a youngster, there's a plan there. Yeah, definitely. It's not meaningless. It's not just minutes for the sake of minutes, Sufjan. All right, guys, it is time for me to go have dinner, and relax. It's been a crazy day. I'm hoping to wake up tomorrow and just smile, the big grin after this late win from one of the most exciting youngsters in Italian football. Thank you so much, guys. Talk soon. Ciao. Leave comments too.